Hey y'all, and welcome to my channel. Today we are doing a tutorial over the spooky floral leopard. This tumbler was inspired by the floral leopard from Glamour Tribe Customs. This cute skull leopard vinyl is from the vinyl Cottage. So what you see me doing now is exposing some vinyl that I am going to initially apply to the tumbler before we start our wrap. It's going to allow me to make sure that when I put it on it's straight. So my preference is to start with a sanded tumbler. The tumbler I'm using is a 24-ounce plump from the Steel Magnolia. These tumblers are straight, they have no taper. It makes vinyl wraps so easy. So now I've applied the vinyl to the tumbler. I'm pressing down firmly, making sure that it is adhered well, making sure that it's straight. Now I'm going to take my squeegee and just work my way around the tumbler, making sure that I am pressing firmly. This will help work out any air bubbles that may pop up. Just a side note that this is my first YouTube video, so please bear along with me on this journey. I am still learning. I realized that I did not tape this in the right orientation. Next video I should be, well, the next video after that, because the next one I ain't do it right either, but the next one after that I for sure will get it right. So now that I've made it all the way around the tumbler, I am pressing firmly so I can expose that seam that's underneath. That is where I am going to cut. I find that using tape helps me because my hand is not steady at all, and this method seems to work fairly well for me. I don't go directly on top of that seam or that line underneath. I move it over just a tad so that there is some overlapping. So now I'm just going to take my craft knife and run it alongside the edge of that tape until I reach the bottom. So now I'm going to remove the tape, and then I'm going to start cutting off the excess at the top and the bottom. I like to pull my vinyl across the top just to make sure that it has adhered well, and it makes it easier to cut without tearing up the vinyl around the rim of the cup. Make sure not to pull too hard because sometimes it will tear, and you definitely don't want that to happen. Once I've made it all the way around the cup, I take my X-Acto knife, I make a little hole, and then I start using the edge to go around and removing that excess vinyl. You want to make sure that your craft knife is not dull and it is sharp. It makes all the difference when cutting off the excess vinyl. The exact same thing on the bottom of the cup. Now if this doesn't come out too straight for you, don't worry, we are going to go back in with our edging tool to clean this part up. And then what you see me doing is popping some little air bubbles. I just take the end of my X-Acto knife and pop those little bubbles out. Now it's time to pull that excess off that we trimmed earlier. I don't know about y'all, but this is like my favorite part. It's so satisfying. So now that the vinyl wrap is done, we're going to go into Cricut Design Space and arrange our floral pattern. I purchased this file from Design Bundles. I will link it in the description. So from this file, we're going to use this black leaf you see here. There's an orange flower, pink flower, and a purple flower. The florals are uploaded. I'm just duplicating them to match my example. I'm using 3 leaves. I'm using 4 orange flowers, 2 pink flowers, and 3 purple flowers. My next step is to size the flowers. I will leave the dimensions in the description box. So in true Kia fashion, I forgot that I was doing a tutorial and decided that it was just best to make copies of the flower that I already have. But you're going to see me arranging them just like I have them in the example. I am adjusting them by moving them forward and backward until I like the way it looks. Now, yours doesn't have to look exactly like mine. There's so many creative ways you can arrange these flowers. Have fun with it. I would love to see what you come up with. Once I get the desired look, I am going to go to my actions, group them all together, then flatten. To print, I'm going to use the glossy vinyl paper from Hayes Paper Co. I print using an inkjet printer. I don't use any fancy settings. I also use print to cut to print out the image. Prior to cutting this image, I do spray it with 2 times clear Rust-Oleum spray to make sure it's sealed. After my initial spray, I wait 15 minutes or until it's dry, and then I spray again. I like to place my floral pattern on the seam side. I make sure that it is kind of where I want it to be. I press down starting in the middle, and then I go out on each side, making sure to press down firmly so that I don't get any bubbles in the vinyl. So now I'm going in with my edge tool. I purchased this off Amazon. I'm going to place the link to my Amazon storefront in the description. This is going to help me clean up that bottom. It's on the 1/8 setting. I just place the cup down, press around firmly as I turn up against the plate. Now I'm just going to take my X-Acto knife to expose where I cut and peel off the rest. My next step is going to be to paint the bottom of this tumbler black. This black is Cannon Black from Rust-Oleum. I do tape off the vinyl at the bottom just to make sure I don't get any spray paint over all that hard work. You can also use saran wrap to cover up the rest of this vinyl just to ensure that you don't get any paint splatter on it. So now we're getting to the good part. We're about to add a little sparkle. We're using Brite as a glitter additive from Peachy Olive Glitter. This is about 10 milliliters of epoxy. I'm going to add, just a little splash to make a little sparkle into the epoxy. This is a fast setting epoxy. Now I'm going to take my popsicle stick and give that a good stir until it's mixed evenly. Now I'm going to apply the epoxy, making sure I get good coverage and spreading to even. Once that's done, I go in with my torch to pop any bubbles. After this layer dries, I do go in with a second coat of epoxy. This one does not have Brite added into it. This is also a fast setting epoxy. Now I'm going in with my Dremel to clean the rim. I'm going to expose just a little silver of this tumbler just to have something for my last layer of epoxy to adhere to. This flap wheel is an 80 grit. You can also achieve this by using a sand block. This is also an 80 grit. At this time, I'm going to sand the bottom as well, making sure I smooth out any bumps, and also any bumps that are on the cup I'm going to sand off with the sanding block. I'm going to clean the dust off with alcohol. You can also clean this off in the sink with water and Dawn dish soap. I finished off this tumbler by using 2 layers of regular epoxy. Now we're all done. We're sparkly, we're spooky, and we're cute. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and thank you for watching.